Tensions in West Asia continue to remain high. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical flashpoint between the US and Iran, remains largely closed, causing significant disruptions to global energy supplies. As the crisis deepens, the Trump administration has come up with yet another plan to restore freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has approved the creation of the Maritime Freedom Construct, which is described as a joint initiative of the State Department and the Pentagon. According to a State Department cable seen by Reuters, President Donald Trump's administration is seeking the participation of other countries to restore freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. The initiative is intended as a coordinated international response to restore commercial shipping through one of the world's most critical sea lanes. The U.S. State Department would act as the diplomatic hub, liaisoning with partner governments and the shipping industry as well. The Pentagon component, operating through U.S. Central Command in Florida, would manage real-time maritime coordination and communicate directly with vessels transitioning the strait. According to the State Department cable, U.S. embassies are likely to deliver the démarqué orally to partner nations by end of May, but not to Russia, China, Belarus, or Cuba. The MFC is different from other constructs as it focuses solely on the right to passage and reversing blockades. The Hormuz Strait, which typically carries around 1/5 of global oil and gas supplies, has seen traffic reduced to negligible numbers since U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran on February 28th, triggered by a blockade by Tehran. The battle between U.S. and Iran over the Strait of Hormuz intensified on Thursday after President Trump shared a picture of the Strait of Hormuz, calling it the Strait of Trump. Trump posted the image on his Truth Social account with no captions. In a sharp criticism for the post, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has said that calling Hormuz Strait anything else is a, quote, terrible mistake. Trump has warned that the American naval blockade against Iran could last months. Earlier, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had also said the U.S. blockade would choke Iranian oil industry, leading to revenue losses of up to $170 million per day. Joining us live on this broadcast is Hafid Boutaleb, geopolitics and international relations analyst, joining us from Casablanca, Morocco. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome back to WION. President Trump's administration has been claiming that Iran will collapse under its own weight of excess oil, which can't be transported, really squeezing them economically. And we're seeing that that is happening. But Iran is also taking a defiant stance. It's taking digs and even threatening the blockade if President Trump's blockade is not lifted. So from your assessment, who is being affected most right now?
Well, now so far, both sides, and sorry, thank you for the invitation, Susan. Both sides think they are convinced they control the clock on both sides. The Iranians think the Americans or the President of the United States is tied to this congressional approval that should be next month or next days, because the deadline, Congress deadline, is arriving tomorrow, the 1st of May, is hitting tomorrow, the 1st of May. And on the other hand, the United States are persuaded that such pressure, because yes, there is a pressure on the Iranian economy, but they are persuaded that this could lead to upheavals that would increase even more of this pressure on the rulers, who would after that somehow find a compromise with the United States. And I think on both sides there is a mistake or misinterpretation. They are precedents on this deadline about the Congress, and the President of the United States have a large majority of senators and the representatives with him today, supporting him today, especially after having realized that it is a matter of the credibility and the image of the United States, the projection of power of the United States, and it is for them now, for a large share, not all of them, of course, but a large share, even within the Democrats, it is a matter of the image of the United States, and they have to win over the Iranians. And also on the for the Iranians are mistaken in thinking that for institutional matters, the president of the United States can bend the knee. It will not happen, of course, and there are always ways to bypass these constraints, these institutional constraints, especially that this war is not engaging many American soldiers' lives. We are talking about 15 soldiers who are dead. It's not a lot. This happens even this rate happens even with accidents without wars in daily life within the U.S. Army. On the other hand, the United States might be also mistaken in thinking that the Iranian regime would be affected by what will afflict its population. It's not because the oil refineries will, oil rigs will stop, and the lack of oil storage capacity. This would push the Iranians to bend the knee. This will not also happen because, for the simple reason, the regime has its own survival ways that are totally decorrelated from its people's survival matters. The people can suffer for a long time. This doesn't matter for the regime because the leaders of the regime are persuaded that their survival means the survival of the nation. And whether the people suffers and goes again in the streets and will be massacred again, exactly what happened in January, this for the regime is a scenario that they can bear. And it is possible for them to overcome it. So on both sides, there is a misunderstanding that would lead eventually to this crisis to last, and maybe to a new or to an ending that is or a new step in this crisis that was not expected.
And you know, we've been talking about the battle for the Strait of Hormuz. I'd love to get your thoughts on if you think Hormuz ultimately will become the flashpoint for the resumption of war between the two sides.
It is possible, to be honest. It is possible to have a sudden escalation on behalf of the United States, especially if eventually the Donald Trump convinces the Congress of a real threat from Iran, especially that now you can see how Iran is reluctant and adamant on its, I would say more adamant on its nuclear program, which is quite dubious as behavior. After all this crisis, they don't want to find a settlement on that. So they are really, for them, as a survival matter, the nuclear bomb is a key aspect of the future of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And on that aspect, the United States would be able, maybe Donald Trump would be able to leverage on that and convince the senator, the representatives of this considerable threat that is Iran, especially now supported in the narrative by the Gulf countries, especially United Arab Emirates, that also means, is directly concerned by this nuclear bomb option threat, I would say. And sorry, you're still here? Yes. Hello. The
I am
connection.
here. I'm listening to you, Hatif.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure talking to you. I do still
Yes.
have your voice, but I have to run. Thank you so much for making those important points.
Okay.
I'll speak to you again very soon.
Okay.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.